FBG Live. It's like confusion, but straightforward.
Well, welcome to the Republic of Texas Radio. I'm your host for the night, Steve OBrien. And, well, I guess it's Sunday, April 26th. And, well, last week we suffered some, catastrophic failure on one of our systems that made it so our stream didn't even make it out. And actually the MP3 recording was so overmodulated, I don't have the technology at this time to clean it up. So I had planned the entire new show for the week, and, I grabbed all the audio clips that I wanted to play, and I got, the format back in, and I was going to reproduce it for you. But this morning, I woke up, and you ever wake up with one of those mornings that you're just right there at the top, everything? You got to do something. It's just kind of like some kind of an anxiety type thing, that something else is very much important. So I'm just throwing it out. We're not doing the clips. We're not doing last week's show. We're not redoing it. We'll get to that subject matter a little bit later. I have a few other very important things that I needed to talk to you about what the Republic of Texas is doing and what the Republic of Texas isn't doing, what the individuals may be doing, and a little bit about the world we live in today. The Americas, the Republic of Texas, whatever. So there are a few elections. I want to get some background or some homework done. We have upcoming elections at the Republic of Texas. You can view all the election materials on thetexasrepublic.com. There's elections for Fort Bend County, Brazos County, Milam County, Austin County, and Colorado County. So there's quite a few different things going on. Our next meeting will be on May 5th. I really need you guys to go there, right? It's very important that you do something. And if you're not doing anything, I'm not too sure why you're listening to this. Do you believe that Texas should be a free and independent, country? Are you listening to this because somebody told you to listen to it? Do you support the Texas Republic? Well, I don't know. Well, I hope you do support, Texas being free. I hope freedom and liberty actually matters to you. One way you can do that is, hey, come meet us over at Tomball, Texas. That's a little bit south of Austin. Not Austin, Houston. They're two different animals. I haven't been to Houston yet, but it'll be very interesting. I'm sure I'll be there for like a couple of minutes. But Tomball, VFW. Here's the actual address, but I'd refer you to thetexasrepublic.com for directions and stuff like that. That's where you should be looking for actual information about what's going on. We put press releases up there. There's a lot of articles, and there's some information up there that, should be gone through. Texas is complicated. It's also very straightforward. Once again, our next meeting is May 9th, 2015 at 9:30 a.m. And that is, of course, the second Saturday of every month. It's at the VFW Post 2427. And it's located on 14408 Alice Road in Tomball, Texas. Now, like I said, this morning I woke up and it was just like, felt power, right? I felt a need, an importance. There was a focus. And I couldn't quite figure out what was going on in my head. But I came across something last night. The reality that we live in today, the Texas that we live in today, is supposedly this thing called Texas, the state of Texas, within the confines of a thing called the United States of America. And the Republic of Texas is a little bit different, right? The Republic of Texas is an independent country. Right now it's sequestered within the corporate U.S. government, right? So that we like to call it inside of occupied territory. Now, I see people in the world, I have a lot of friends and I like to talk to them and see stuff. And, I go on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook, but who cares? Who cares about me? But what I did is, so I go onto Facebook and I forget what I was looking up or doing research. I don't spend a whole bunch of time on that stuff. That's kind of like mind control. Those guys over at Facebook are tweaking with your heads anyways. And I saw a post from a friend of mine. I've known her for quite a few years now. And man, my heart just goes out for a lot of these people. And in this little thing on Facebook, she writes, I got 3 jobs and I still can't pay the rent. Wow. Okay. And I got a fiance and he has 2 jobs, I think. Are you still doing your jobs, honey? It's like, okay, so yeah, whatever. So she's communicating with the rest of the world as well as to her boyfriend slash, fiance. And, that's nothing new in this world where we're so disconnected with people. But what's unique in that situation was, this young lady, she's about 24 or something like that. She has 2 kids. Now, she's been raised in this state of Texas mentality. That's where the state of Texas is subservient to the United States of America. She's raised in, the corporate independent school district. How independent are they? They're all chained together. So it's a basic brainwashing. Well, she went ahead and she got married and she had 2 kids, and her husband decided that, that was too much for him, so he killed himself. Some people just can't stand the world that they live in. And he checked out and he left her holding the bag, and she found another guy that she really liked, and, he's leaving her holding the bag too, from what I see. But I don't know. All I can see is these little snippets that she occasionally throws up on, Facebook. A friend of mine likes to call it Fakebook. But this is the real Texas. The reason I'm telling you about this is because this is an area the Republic of Texas does not harness. It does not go out for these people. I mean, how could it? The Republic of Texas is a government that's not designed to, create a nanny state. And the corporate United States of America, it's designed to create slaves. I saw this other girl, we got this great little, I don't know how great it is, but it's a little tiny cafe restaurant thing. It's very kitschy, cute, whatever. I live in a tourist town. So we got all sorts of cute things, and it used to be a gas station, and now they serve breakfast tacos, and everybody's all, oh yeah, it's the greatest thing. I'm like, you guys are paying $10 for a taco from a gas station. That used to be a gas station. It even looks like a gas station. Well, the server, and I wasn't actually in it, I was just driving by, and, Texas Department of Transportation does a great job of, turning on stoplights where they shouldn't be on. And so you just sit for large amounts of time while, I don't know why they do it, and I assume it's to burn my gas. And I'm looking over into this ex-gas station that's turned into a taco factory for tourists. And I see this young lady. She's waiting on people. And, here in Fredericksburg, most of our culture is about what they call the service industry. And I know this is dominant throughout our culture currently in Texas. This is what we're up against. This is very important. Well, this young lady, she had a shirt on, and, she's in Texas. It has a picture of the U.S. State of Texas. and it has some words on it. The words say, mine. And I get it, right? She's saying Texas is hers. But I also get it that that shirt is wrong. And we've talked about that before in the past, and if you don't understand exactly why Texas is not hers, but she is part of Texas, you probably need to do a little bit more studying, and I can actually help bring you up to speed, but not on this show. I have a Wednesday night show. It's called Digital Resistor. I talk about all the different people in alternate media that actually can help you better understand the fact that you belong to the state of Texas. Now, I won't say everybody belongs to the state of Texas because there are tap dances. You can do all sorts of stuff, and you can probably rescind your agreements that you've gone into with the state and the federal government. But I don't know much about that. I've heard lots of people talk about that. I can point you their direction. You can go into it. But this girl in the taco stand, I'm kind of like going, wow, okay. So that's your job. How much do you make? $7 an hour, $8 an hour. How many jobs do you have? 2, 3, living with your parents? And that's kind of a dominant thing in our culture. You know, my friend that's sitting here on Facebook saying stuff like, you know, well, 3 jobs and I can't keep the bills together. And my husband or future husband, fiance, has 2 jobs, I think. And it's kind of like, wow, I don't know. It's a tough life. Sometimes you're left holding the bag. So my heart goes out for, I can't do anything. You know, can you do anything for these people? The government gets in the way of actually you doing business as a private entity. But what troubled me, what really, really troubled me was a comment that came below and says, oh, I love you, you're the greatest, but sometimes I'm just embarrassed by you. You're acting really bad, and I'm ashamed to be your friend. And something like that. And I go, really? How much do you know her? Who the heck are you? And you see these little pictures on their face, and, you know, sure, she's somebody, but, you know, was she a guy? Was it a girl? Okay, got my curiosity up, so I went ahead and clicked through, and let's see why she's upset at this person. Well, I can see that she's bursting her bubble because once I arrived at this other, you know, commenter's page, you know, what's happening, she's sitting there. She works for, well, indirectly the pharmaceutical company, right? Mental health worker. You know, she gives people drugs to, well, help deal with the reality that we live in. You know, something that's kind of, what is the word? Hostile towards individuals. We're not even allowed to be individuals or have emotions. They try to drug you up. And in our current economic state, there are only a few different things that are going on in Texas that are independent. Now, I go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong, but the people that are doing well are the medical industrial complex. And they might not be medical, but they sure are a complex. You know, the insurance companies, insurance gropers, they're working really good. Here in Fredericksburg, we've got city workers. One of the favorite lines that I used to hear was somebody goes, well, you should apply at the city. You'll always have a job. And then I'd tell them, no, you shouldn't, because I'm going to try to make it so we downscale that. You know, we got so many city workers. They put up banners. They do this and that and service the tourist industry. Is that important? Is the tourist industry important? Okay, yeah, but no, all in the same. We can't support a world just on tourist stuff. You have to make things. It's kind of like an independent thing. So you got some people that are sitting there going, man, it's tough. I'm sitting there working 3 jobs, and I can't even make ends meet. My husband's got two. Okay, now I'm going on a lot on this point. I understand that. But I have to let you know what I think and what I feel is one of the key points to regaining Texas sovereignty. And okay, we can have the discussion about the Republic of Texas going to the United Nations and getting blessed or whatever, and then all of a sudden, poof, we're the Republic of Texas. And I do believe it's time to get off the pot and deal with that right now. If you got a plan, you go and do it. But I'm also saying that these people, and I'm doing it right now, these people need to know there's another way. You don't have to put up with the reality that you're living in. Sure, everything is kind of like canned for them. My friend, she gets out of high school, she goes to college, she has two kids, and then what? The guy checks out? What the hell is that? Run away from your commitments. Run away from your family. Leave them on their own. Where did that come from? Ethics, where did those come from? Well, actually, it comes from the occupied Americas, the occupied U.S. You know, our culture, it kind of shows that. It tells us that we should be not focused on the family and focused on the individual and our needs. And, you know, it does that in many different ways. I was noticing that, well, severely the other day when I went to one of my television sites, or it wasn't a television site, it was a movie site, and they had a neat catalog of, well, movies from 1904 forward. And I thought it would be fun to go ahead and check out the old stuff and see how they acted and what was important to them. Now, you saw that in the ethics of these films, and if you ever do that yourself, you'll see the ethics of the culture is very important. Now, my friend's sitting here with, you know, two kids, one dead husband, another guy that she's together with that seems to have a problem actually getting up and doing stuff, and I don't know all the story on that, but hey, man, you got to get off your butt and do something in order to get anywhere, right? Checking out of a game or not doing anything gets you nowhere. That's part of where I am with the Republic of Texas. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm not saying I even agree with the international angle of this, but I'm saying that this is an avenue for us to restore the Republic of Texas, and we can do it, and everybody can do it. Just talking about it makes a difference. Every day, when you go about the world, people complain about stuff. One of the basic things I like to do is simply say, you know, we don't have to live like this. We simply don't. We need to stop. And then leave it at that. Repeating that meme is very powerful because it comes back and people start getting it in their heads. You know, there was I don't know. There's so much going on in this society that's actually got me so worked up. I do have a little bit of hope. Was at another friend's business, and, you know, he stopped me and my friend and said, hey, I got to talk to you guys a little bit. And we go, yeah, so what's up? You know, we're known around town as the people that, you know, pay attention to things. And, you know, yeah, those kind of people, we have certain places. People come to us when they're worried, when they're troubled. Now, he started him-hawing about the subject. He says, you know, all of a sudden I have all these people contacting me about, you know, worried about the U.S. government taking over Texas. And I laughed because I've been dealing with the same thing. People have been going, Jade Helm, oh my God, they're invading Texas. And I go, do you know anything about that? No, I don't know anything about that, but I know a lot about that. And I've been through a lot of this stuff, and I've followed it. I remembered the first day that a talk show host, an alternative media guy, his name is Alex Jones, broke the story. I thought it was damn curious and going to be an interesting run on that particular story, the U.S. invading Texas, just by the fact that the next day a neighbor comes up to me and goes, "Did you know that the Americas or the Americans are going to invade Texas?" He says, "What's the Republic of Texas going to do about it?" And I go, "Man, what do you mean?" And that's kind of like a sticky wicket because they come up to you and they say, well, they're going to declare martial law. And, well, they already declared martial law. They never rescinded it. We haven't been outside of martial law since, after the Civil War? I mean, folks, the reality that most people live in, the idea that the Constitution actually matters to the United States of America is simply a farce. It's simply a farce, and more people are waking up to it. And when they wake up to it, they remember crazy little voices that are talking out in the universe. How long you'll be able to hear our voices, well, I don't know. But do it now, and you have to do something now. I want to point you at another site. I can only come to you once a week and talk about stuff, talk about the Republic of Texas, talk about how important it is that you figure out what you're going to do and put your 2 cents into the kitty. Something that you can do is, go to therepublicoftexas.com, get involved, do something. Another thing, you don't want to go that route? Go to Raging Elephant Radio. It's called Raging, it's the rage. A Raging Elephant Radio. I guess they meant, an elephant going around just destroying the stuff. Now, I've had the pleasure of listening to their show a few times. Well, I've listened to a lot of their shows, actually. And, they focus on Texas. And Texas is of crucial importance for freedom and liberty all across the globe. All across the globe. Now, a lot of people want to go, we need to restore America. And I love that. I would so love that. That would be just incredible. But now you're talking about a hard twist. You're seriously talking about a hard twist. There's so many people that are actually part of the corporate U.S. culture, the culture that was created by Hollywood, the memes that they forced on society, the thoughts, right, the ethics that are being taught to them in the school system, by the politicians, by the legal system. Even the legal system of the corporate United States is, a facade. They don't obey their rules. They like to dance. They dance around their rules and they write new rules. But we got to do something. And it's interesting. We're at a point, and that's why I like this Jade Helm thing, because people that are scared, concerned, and they want to know more, they go to folks like me and my friends, and they say, hey, I heard X. And at that point, you got to say, what did you hear? And what do you know? The Jade Helm thing was kind of fun, and, it's still not played out. I guess that thing starts in a few weeks, and we'll see how that goes. And maybe they are planning on invading Texas and doing all sorts of stuff, but we don't know that. We don't need to know that. What you need to know right now is that it's a crucial time that you get involved and get ahead of the game. Because if you don't, now you're just wasting time. We need to appeal to the people that are out there, the people that are, caught in the system. How would you like to be a single mom, 3 or 2 kids, and a deadbeat second husband potential type thing, living in a tourist town? Okay, sure, She's got a college degree, but the college degree is a facade too, right? Oh, well, it's her fault for that because, she shouldn't have gotten a degree in XYZ. She should have gotten in ZYX. Well, her friend that was sitting on her Facebook feed throwing stuff around, she guessed right. And she went to college to become a health professional. And so now she gives drugs to what they deem is crazy people. So she's a pharmaceutical type person, mind controller, definitely a sellout and probably believes every single thing. So she's dealing with two different things. She's crashing and raining on her friend's parade. She doesn't want to see anybody negative on her Facebook feed. And I totally want you to say exactly what you're thinking. Are you mad? Because I am. God, I'm fed up. I'm seriously fed up. I work hard. I work hard to keep my word. I work hard to try to create a universe or a world around us that's kind to people, fair, just, survivable. And in the world today, the world that we live in the United States, it's not that way. There's that, oh God, how do we get there? There's that story. It says, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. You know the other side of that story, right? But if you teach a man to fish, well, next he has to get driver's license so he can go fishing. Next he has to get a bank account and he needs to get a job so he can pay taxes. And I just did a bad job at quoting that. But the thing is, there's so much that's so regulated that you have to enter into their game to survive. You need a social security number. Heck, that girl with the little Texas state picture on her thing saying mine. Hey, when she was in the hospital, they assigned her social security number. That process in itself made her a slave to the state. And you don't have to believe me. You can go look it up. They monetize every single one of their commodities. We are commodities under a state, under the federal government, under the World Bank, obviously. Everything that goes under that way. And you might not care. You might not even, think I'm right. But you do know something's wrong. Everybody knows something's wrong. The question is where are we going to go with that? Recently, Nancy Battle sent me an email, and it was kind of funny. So if you don't know Nancy Battle, you haven't been with me for a few years, but, met Nancy around 2011 when she was doing some stuff here in Fredericksburg, and that was really funny. And here are her words about this resolution. It's resolution. Oh, resolution SCR1, and it passed. It's cute. So this is okay. How do we deal with this? It reaffirms state sovereignty. Yeah, we are sovereign, says Texas. And somebody sent her an email saying bravo, and she says, why pussyfoot around with this resolution? I'm sick of seeing these weak. Now, if you don't behave, we will sever relations letters. Okay, so she didn't make too much sense. Ridiculous. You're dealing with a corporation, not a damn government, for goodness sake. This is a road branch, blah, blah, blah. And she goes on and says stuff. But it's true. What the hell are these Texas senators? How cute is that? They put up a note to the federal government saying, we're sovereign. And the feds go, okay, of course you are. You're bought and paid for, ma'am. That entire government's bought and paid for. Your state government's bought and paid for. All the people are subservient to that government. If we were to leave Texas and keep the same form of government that we operate under today, hell would be breaking loose again. we'd have a Federal Reserve of our own, but this time we'll probably call it the Texas Reserve, and we'd do all the same mistakes. That's the neat thing about a republic. That's the different thing about the republic. The United States would be a great place if it was a republic again. Why? Because it's bottoms up management, not tops down. The love of federalism, or, something that's going to actually, how do you say it, take care of you and do stuff for you, and all you have to do is, whatever they say. They got this guy, he's in the White House, and they tell me he's the president of the United States, but I have a hard time believing that because I think he's the CEO. His name's Barack Obama, and he's constantly passing all sorts of neat little stuff that enslaves humanity and forces us to do stuff. And he passes resolutions and this and that, and nothing's constitutional, and I bet you couldn't tell me that we're living and we follow the Constitution. Can you? Email me, steve@thetexasrepublic.com, or you can email me at fbglive@gmail.com. Just tell me, do you have exception to what I'm saying? Am I not making sense? Should we not do this? Should we not leave the United States? Why? Because if Texas regained its sovereignty, we could, 1, promote the borders, control them, regulate tariffs that cross the borders. Border towns would become desirable places to live because there would be jobs dealing with, commerce as things come in and out of the country. We'd have more business. We have an Texas is a standalone nation. It was, it has treaties, it will be again. How does that help the United States? Well, I'm sorry, but that's not the main point of it. The secondary point of that is by leading by example. You really need to lead by example. Now, right now, that whole boss you around thing that goes from the United States of America is more like, first there's a selection, then there's an election. They might have to rig the election if they can't get mass media to convince a people group to go their direction. And anyways, after the selection, they have two different scenarios. You get your Republican or Democrat. Doesn't really matter. They do the same damage, set it up for the next one, blame the next guy, and all of a sudden, man, we're just wrapped with everything. That government's bad. It's broken. Heck, this little thing they did, a resolution reaffirming state sovereignty. What are you guys, nuts? You have no sovereignty. They tell you everything you want to do, and most of them like it. Most of them really love it. That Jade Helm thing, everybody was all, call these people in all the states and cities, and all these people call, and they talk to the sheriffs, and most of them just go, I think it's great that the military's doing drills and all this other crap, right? It's wonderful. We need our military. Yeah, we got to fight them there so we don't have to fight them here, but now we're going to have to plan to fight them here, and, there's a lot of interesting terrorists out there. Patriots are terrorists. Of course, patriots are terrorists. Everybody knows that. Ex-military are terrorists. Well, yeah, I guess that's what the U.S. government likes to call them. I know they like to call me a terrorist just because, I want to talk about the reality that I see. I see a much different reality than the whatever mass media, as they like to be called. The only mass that they have is maybe the bloat and, infinite funding. God, it must be nice to have funding. I don't even understand that. They can leverage some severe horsepower because they do have funding, and they don't run an operation like me in FBG Live that relies upon donations and the sweat of my brow. But someday. But we have all these people coming to us talking Jade Helm, and that's good. I really like it. And it gives us a chance to talk to him about, sane things, the Jade Helm things. And so if you don't know anything about Jade Helm, get a little bit under your belt, and then you can dance into the Republic of Texas and tell everybody, we don't have to live like this. We don't have to have this huge group, the number one military in the world, sitting there wanting to come knock on your door. It's kind of a scary place, huh, folks? I get afraid sometimes. But fear needs to be overcome. And you can't quit. My friend that I was telling you about earlier, her husband quit her. He quit his kids, and he walked away. I felt that way last Wednesday. Didn't feel like killing myself, but I felt like walking away. Broadcasting has been in my veins since 2011, and you know what? I get a rush out of it. You know what I don't get a rush out of? Having bad equipment, having failures, lining up guests, having it fall all apart, putting in a whole bunch of work and having it collapse. And so I throw up my arms and go, ah! And then I get over it. And then I move on because I know it's important. It's important because, well, we need some freedom and liberty. My friend who I was telling you about, he was getting Jade Helmed. He said, look, I don't know what you think, but I know the people in this town. And if something like this were to happen and they showed up at, Joe Schnurgerberger, his ranch, and they started doing something, a lot of the people around here aren't going to put up with that. And they don't have much to lose. They're old already. They're already upset at the state of our country. They might not be in your frame of mind, Steve, but I know their hearts, and I know that they'll get their friends back even if they don't like him because of principle, because you have to stand for something. So that might be the older generation. The younger generation, now that's curious. My friend with, 2 kids, dead ex-husband or dead husband and a new ex or whatever, however that's working out. What about her? She's been raised in a total different world. She's running student loan debt. She's running rent. She's not going to be buying a house. She's trying to take care of kids. She's probably on the government, dole for food. They give out food like they give out anything. They give out money too, but they're cutting back on food. Obama came out, recently and said that we're past all this, but people still have memories of no jobs and, no money. And I'm going, yeah, I see it, dude. It's still here. It's not hidden. Here in Fredericksburg, Texas, we're kind of a tourist thing. People come here for wine and trinkets and knickknacks and old stuff. It's funny. Antiques are all the rage in Fredericksburg, and I can understand that at some level because they don't make anything nowadays. No country makes anything that's designed to last. They're all designing everything to fail. The first person that starts going into business again that tries to produce a product that actually lasts, well, that guy might have a good business model as today's designed to fail business model. And if you don't know about how designed obsolescence is out there, and it's part of the cornerstone of every manufacturing company on this planet. Sure, they might be good for a while. Sony was making incredible stuff. Those Japanese guys, right? Competing with Kenwood and all those other good U.S. manufacturers. And they were an awesome product. Woo! Yeah, the Japanese did it right for a moment. Now, they came out and showed you their colors. They say they're make-believe. So I don't trust them. You can't even buy something, high-price something, and have it last for a while. There's no honesty. There's no ethics. And that's how the game is done. The Republic will change that by allowing business to become business again. And I have the ability to make a light bulb that, well, lasts longer than what they allow. The Light Bulb Association in the United States actually keeps the incandescent light bulbs lasting only so long. If it doesn't, wow, or if it lasts longer, yeah, that person's going to have to, well, be accountable for that. I don't know. We need to change business. We need to change people. We need to reach out for people. I'm reaching out for people. Are you reaching out for people? I do 2 shows currently. And that's even though that's the small stuff in my life, right? These radio shows, talking to people and being allowed to be called the kook, the person that doesn't believe in pharmaceuticals, that has problems with genetically modified organisms, has ethical issues with transhumanism. Most of you don't even know transhumanism, right? What about the government giving us our culture, government giving us our sexual revolution in the 2000s, I guess, because it really has gone full tilt and will continue. They're doing it through the independent school districts. The only thing independent is probably the name that goes before independent, and that's probably duplicated all throughout the United States. How many Lincoln independent school districts do you think there are? They all teach the same thing. They might have a different teacher. Sure, she might change things up a little bit. They're working on that. They probably want to eliminate the schools, but I don't care. I want to eliminate them, and we'll go from there. There's a lot of fear, though, here in Fredericksburg. People like it the way it is because some of them actually get money from it. Now, who gets money from it? Well, I guess a lot of the liquor stores or wineries or drinking rooms will get money from the people that leave Austin or Houston or wherever to do a weekend in the hill country, drinking wine and eating food and stuff like that. Where does that money go? Well, it goes to the wineries. Some of it goes to the people that work there. The people that work there will never have houses. They'll never be able to buy land, especially around here. The land prices are incredibly way too high. Well, it's a tourist destination, and you can turn your house into a bed and breakfast and make a lot more money on it than living in it. You can get a hotel room after that. Well, maybe that's not so true. There's a place in Junction, Colorado. Actually, Junction, Colorado. It's not really a place in there. That they're actually lobbying the Bureau of Land Management to, well, stay, please. We want you to stay. See, there's a whole bunch of people that want the Bureau of Land Management, the federal, agency that takes care of stuff, out of Junction, Colorado. So a bunch of the businesses get together and they go, these state parks bring in a lot of money, and we don't want to change that because we like the money. It's kind of like, well, yeah. Were you planning on closing down the state parks? Can't you do it yourself? Won't that create jobs? Oh, but you can't pay them. Yeah, the feds print the money. They can pay their workers. And then they come and say, well, they've done a pretty good job, sort of, for the most part. Qualified answers. Until they won't. See, they don't really want you in parks. Parks are for birds and ducks and things like that. You may not believe me now, but you do a little bit of research and you'll find out that those parks are not destined for your grandchildren. We're literally stealing from our grandchildren's futures right now. I see it all the time in the city council meetings if I'm bold enough to go there. And when I say bold enough to go there, that means if I can handle the psychological damage that comes from listening to people operate in a fictitious world, in a different reality. They go, well, let's borrow a bunch of money and build a golf course, so what? So Tiger Woods can come over here and play? And they actually thought Tiger Woods was going to come over and play. Yeah, whatever. They're kind of crazy. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. A friend shared an article with me on Round Rock, Texas. And in Round Rock, Texas, this lady, I guess, was driving hectically, and the cop pulls her over, and, well, brawl ensues, and he throws her to the ground and knocks her unconscious, and her 5-year-old kid is sitting there screaming, and, of course, there's a video, and, of course, this and that and this and that. Then they go, oh, yeah, but she was drunk. Was she? I don't know. Was anybody in danger? I don't know. But as soon as the police officer showed up, she was in danger. She's in danger for her life. Her whole life's in danger because of the police. Or was it because she was drunk driving? Or was she drunk driving? Well, it's a victimless crime for the most part, but I'll tell you what, at this point, the victim is her. You know, she was the one knocked unconscious, dragged away from her kid. Her kid's at risk right now, probably in social services, getting jabbed with, you know, whatever injections, put on whatever drugs. They love Valium, lithium, whatever. You know, they love to drug kids that go into social services. You get more money if you're a social services worker house type thing. What do they call those, foster homes? And that's scary to me. That's really scary. But there is a war on cops, and it seems to be coming from the mass media. And it was initially coming from the alternate media, and because the alternate media initially came out and said, hey, look at this. And we started getting cameras and started filming cops. And there are groups out there that are dedicated to, well, filming the police acting poorly. They don't film them acting good and talk about that as well. But I don't know, filming somebody for what, jaywalking, is that good? If the cop actually gave the guy a ticket and he said, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, all that stuff, that's a little bit. I don't like that law. I don't like many laws. In my republic, the republic that I'm going to work to restore, when I get my county back, then I'll dance with all you guys, you know, in the city districts, and we'll talk about what laws are good, and we'll talk about what laws are bad, and we'll work this out for ourselves. We'll deal with jaywalking. How do we want to deal with jaywalking? Do we want to ticket people? Do we really want a police force walking around being our babysitter? Or do we want to leave the person to be personally responsible for his actions? Well, that's okay. So the cops are just doing their job, just doing my job. And it's true. These laws do say that they're supposed to ticket you for jaywalking, some cities spitting on the sidewalk. I remember, what was that guy's name? Big cowboy type. He actually made it illegal to eat ice cream in Carmel. Yeah, he's a beloved one. Screw him. He doesn't really matter. What matters is you and I and how we actually address things. This is the most important thing. This will always be the most important thing. How you react, how you teach your kids to react, what you tell your friends, and how it aligns with the reality of how you live your life. I like doing coffee shops, and a few years ago I had this one favorite coffee shop, and you know, I'd sit back and I'd talk to all sorts of people about all sorts of crazy stuff. And then one day, you know, I was talking to one of the other regulars there, and I'm all, well, what happened to ethics in this world, right? And you know, where did it all go wrong? And he says, people stopped taking care of stuff themselves. I would go, what do you mean? He's all, listen. And he was a lot older than me, and he'd seen a lot more of the world. And it's wonderful to listen to him because, you know, when he talked, he had something important to say. Sorry about that, folks. He told me I was driving around, and I was just a kid, you know, 16. And there were 6 of us in the car, and, you know, all of a sudden the sheriff pulled us over. And we all got worried because, you know, you never know what's going on. We weren't doing anything wrong. It was just 6 boys driving around on a back street, and the sheriff pulled them over. Well, the sheriffs, and they ended up being deputies, proceeded to get the kids out of the car and told them to line up on the side of the road. And so they all lined up on the side of the road, and they searched the car, and they went, ape shit on it. And, well, one of the kids sat down, and the cop took exception to that. Says, "Why are you sitting down? You stand up." He says, "I can't stand up." He says, "You stand up now, or you're going to be in a world of hurt." And the sheriff tells him. Well, the kid tries to stand up, and he can't. Well, it happens the kid was actually sick, and when he stood up, everybody in the town knew it. And when he stood up, he got dizzy. So he was still wanting to hang out with his friends, and he'd been sick for some time. But he still liked to get out and, be with his friends. The sheriff, or the deputy at the time, he took exception to, his inability to obey the orders of a law enforcement officer. Yeah. Well, what happened back then happens today, and the officer, the deputy, proceeded to teach this young individual a lesson. And my friend said, "Well, I can't have him beating up on him. He's sick. He can't stand." He would have stood up. He would have done exactly what these law enforcement officials asked him to do. He would have complied. But he stood up, and he went over there and said, "Knock it off. He's sick. He can't stand up." Okay, enter the other officer. Bing, bang, boom. Okay, so two of them got beaten up. The sick kid and, my friend. He proceeded to tell me that he went home that evening and tried to get by his father without actually engaging his father, because he was in a really disheveled state. He had cuts and bruises on him, and dads can actually tell if something's wrong. It's not just moms, folks. He tried to sneak through the door and hit the stairs, and his dad said, "Son, where are you going?" "Dad?" He said, "Come over here." He said, "What happened to you?" He said, "You get in a fight?" He said, "No, Dad." He ended up telling his dad the entire story. And his dad sat there and listened. And he said, "It's okay, son. You go up. You take care of yourself. I'll take care of that. You mind me none. Or you mind it none. Don't think about it again." Well, it turned out that the father and all the townsfolk had been having a problem with that law enforcement official, if we call him that, and sheriff's deputy, and they'd already approached the sheriff and said, "You get rid of this guy, or we're going to have to take care of him on our own." And the sheriff didn't. So his father ended up going down and talking to his friends, and well, they met with that deputy, and, well, let's just say he wasn't standing when they left. In fact, he left the sheriff's department shortly after. No charges were pressed at the individuals that kicked the snot out of the sheriff, right? Or not the sheriff, the deputies. They just walked on. That's a little bit of what they call personal responsibility. People coming together and taking things. Now, that story will not play out today. That can't happen. This world, this police state that you live in, oh, God, take something into your own hands, you're screwed. But that was a different world. And he made a point to tell me that. I grew up in a different world. My dad took care of things I couldn't. I wasn't allowed to. Right? The police didn't take care of things. Of course, they did to a certain extent, but you knew the sheriff, and you understood where he's coming from. Well, that sheriff that hired that deputy didn't make it another round, by the way. After he was approached by the townsfolk and said, get rid of that guy beating up on a kid in town that was, long-term sick, He was definitely sick. It was totally, he screwed up. But he was warned, and the town had to come in and take care of it. But there's no taking care of it for yourself anymore. You have to go through the legal process, the forms and the fields. The Republic of Texas, well, there is a there is a legal framework. Most of it's based on common law, which is just incredibly hard for people that deal with, what do we call this? The codification crap, statutes and whatever. I don't want to talk about that. I want to tell you how important it is that we get Texas back. I want to tell you how important it is to talk to people, how important it is to come to the Republic of Texas meeting coming up here on the 9th of, what is that, May 9th? My God, we're in May, folks. It'll be Tomball, Texas, May 9th. Now, that's a couple weeks away. Put it on your calendar. We will be moving the meetings around from what I'm hearing. So if Houston's a long drive for you, we'll find out something else. We plan on providing you a live stream as long as we can keep our technology, working, or I can. I mean to do everything, but sometimes, well, I'm just out of steam. Right now, I've got a full head of steam. I'm financially strapped, don't have any gas in my car, no way to end the month, but I'm fighting mad. Join us. Do something. You don't have to live like this. I don't want to. Do you?
We now join America's most popular show, already in progress. Everybody loves Hypnotoad.
You must listen. Listen. FBT Live.